大家好，欢迎来到下午的 session。那因为我们刚刚投影的部分出了一点问题哦，那我们现在开始。那这个 session 的题目是我们如何在eSports 上进行用Linux 进行一些有趣的玩法哦。那我们的讲者是大田正文先生哦，他是我们 OCP Tokyo 的算是总招吧。对，那他今天会跟我们分享一些有趣的经验。那待会的演讲会用英文进行。那最后会有问题，那问题你可以使用中文或英文或日文询问都没有关系，我会帮你翻译，好不好？那这样我们就开始我们的 session。那我们用掌声来欢迎我们的。お願いします。
すいません、ありがとうございます。Sorry, I'm late, sir, and so presentation, and so because of something trouble and connecting the Google Meet, and really sorry for that. For I'm ready to another session to the Brave eSports for Linux, and so we could have more cool. So that's so why this presentation is so I had a chance to borrow the gaming PC and from Shenzhen makers and so to try to play the online game or the offline game. So I will try to something like benchmark and not only on the Windows. And I think Windows is on the phone, machine on the phone, and even the gaming machine. But if for ordinary, I'm using Linux, so especially on Ubuntu on the CentOS now I'm using. For I will try to, I will like to try to and Ubuntu or the CentOS on something like online game or like the Final Fantasy or the Second Life with now and we try and under the COVID-19 environment, which is I'm curious. It's curious their business and the COVID-19 increases rapidly. So I will actually introduce. I will actually something like my document work in in playing the game and with the Linux environment. So, Papa-san, next slide, please. And here's agenda for for why gaming is and Linux with the games and all this is for something like trouble for the I will tell you a link and my friend and who loves Linux and doing some benchmark with an online game and she and so they trying to and the tangents and the core and the processor and the online game. So having a benchmark on with the online games on the with home machines. Next slide, please. Why gaming on Linux? Next slide, please. And staying home in the COVID-19 environment, and even the almost and as if except Taiwan or China or the other very few countries can go out, but almost companies and also countries are now under the lockdown. So and we can go outside because of coronavirus virus. So on the online games businesses and I can't believe that it's a 200% earnings and increase for business in an online game because we and only we have to go staying at home. So on the Linux for lightweight for some Windows and so I had a chance for staying home for playing the games and get and Eve games pieces and so but I have to edit leg edit, and the registry edit for and it is very complex to to handle using on the Windows on it. So and sometimes Windows are curious on the behaviors on the playing game on the Windows. And Windows sometimes go to blue screen and like kernel panic. So but we cannot investigate how and why it is. So and I will try to Linux on the games for the games. For having a chance with a laptop and test gaming laptop. And last year, I went Hong Kong to attend the HKOFCon and 19. So after that, I went to the Shenzhen to visit some vendors. So our vendors is very much friendly to about the PCs. So in the GPD Pocket and the Shenzhen. So it is on the tiny and the UMPCs, and they say if for the games. So I will try. I would like to try that and wait on the Linux, but it is very difficult to handle. And the five reports they are having fun. So next slide, please, and Kappa-san. And now under the pandemic environment, so you don't know that there are big changes and in the online game market. And Second Life used to be online 3D games, and but most of people forgot the game what game is, and but even under the current environment, and their business very much increased rapidly, and they had chance to sell their company to a venture and VCs for their their business is now growing. So they had chances selling their companies and increase the virtual gaming market. So other the virtual gaming and Final Fantasy is also increasing. And because almost people are staying at home, so only do if playing the game or the eSports game. Next slide, please. So Linux could be the game. It is difficult to answer because almost and games on the is based on the not only Mac, not only Linux, only for Windows. For Linux could be games, and so it is, and I think it is lightweight because of I have played often played the GPD Pocket 2 and so eSports games it's 2 or 3 GB in average. It has even though it has 8 GB memories, and it is a good way to using for the games. And on the other hand, Windows and 8 GB even the locked and is locked and not enough of the memory to play the game. So now is the 60 gigabyte memory at minimum, and you play the games, and because of the Windows and the libraries on the Windows and the task and very much eat on the memories rather than on the Linux. And even the hack and to hate the regulated for just I also have for Windows PC only for gaming, but most of so issues I had to for the edit reg edit to so the solving an issue. And it is very difficult to understand and how to work on it. And still Windows for the RIF and the related and the 32-bit libraries. I mean, is for it is a very complex for the behaviors playing the game softwares on Linux. For some games works on Linux, but other applications the combinating with the game applications running on Wine on Windows. It is very complex working. For example, so Second Life viewers so having using only for the playing the games and chatting people. But if you would like to use the voice, and they so ask to do ask the requirement and installing Wine, installing Windows library to work and voice applications on the viewer. It is curious working, but so reading a document now, so the viewer, all of viewers need to on the Windows library on using a voice on Linux. I'm just wondering on that. Next slide, please. And online games and offline games, and I checked the latest online games and use playing for the Linux. So I'm very much wondering, and they don't need the fastest CPU for the fastest memories and playing the games. Only need even the GPU and the CPU and the memories and appreciated. And I mean, it is for loading, so the textures. Texture means, is the gaming, so game, so draw pictures, and for the viewers, and it needs the texture and the loading speed on it. So I checked this on the Final Fantasy and Second Life and the online games, and it preferred to needs more memories, GPUs and main memories, and using all the online games, and more. And it is something like a ZPD idea for the WinMax, and less resolutions. And they ZPD WinMax and 1280 and 800 resolution. It is for the not so good resolution for that, but it is good using loading of pictures on playing the game and smoothly on that. Next slide, please. And Wi-Fi or wired, and I checked fortunately and for ZPD WinMax and to play the games for and comparing all the my and ThinkPad and E495 and E495 playing games, and the difference and CPU difference is not so not so different, and because almost so similar speed, similar CPU on it. Only difference is on the Wi-Fi 6 and the Wi-Fi 6, which is very faster to the games, and Wi-Fi 6 is preferred to the using of the games, and it is very much faster, and in many cases, using on the wire. But with 20.04 LTS only supports, and if only support, but sometimes doesn't work properly. And net speed is one of the most important elements plays online games, and that is it is not only for playing smoothly, but also even the online games is again to say it, loading the texture is a very important element to play the game. So almost such a online game viewers having a setting on the texture setting for it is the detailed texture loadings, it is very slow, and the rough texture loadings are very much faster, and it is the tuning point and playing the games and playing the online games on the PCs. Next slide, please. And the main memory cache is the best. And I mean, I have played on the VPD Win and Pocket on the online games, and I using the main memory cache and mounted and for mounted and playing the games and set and cache and directory and the main memory cache, and it is very much faster and to loading and more and it prevents from and breaking and the SD curves. So it is a good one. It is a good one to use that, and me and preferred using that. FFC and also preferred using that. Only FD, please care with using SD and like me, and games and write read. So many times in a time, for you can easily to break and the FC card using an online games. And CPUs and CPU usage. Control CPU is governance for not good and sometimes good, but not effective for much game speed. I try to see and change the CPU's governance and high performance and overclocking, but doesn't change dynamically the playing the games. And but sometimes work fine. And so it is and we have which is good for we have the weight and so the tuning the games and the CPU governance and some player is on the Windows trying to overclock for using the game, and it is for same way and using something like managers and control the governor as a tuning the CPUs and ZPUs. And checking you and UE height and if you play the laptop and lately laptop limited and BIOS and customer cannot control that. For example, and almost the laptop doesn't have a battery efficient setting, doesn't have a GPU aperture setting. GPU aperture means an GPU memory and so allocated and main memory. And if for even so and non-discrete CPU like and Ryzen Vega 8 and Radeon Vega 8, Intel and Iris Plus, when it might be better to set a GPU apertures on the CPUs, for GPUs in a UEFI setting. If you cannot see and and you should try the manufacturer to ask. I have tried. So I now having the GPU and pocket suit unlocked, almost setting unlocked, and that and controlling the not only the GPU apertures but also is on the overclock setting and more. Next slide, please. And discrete or not discrete, and discrete isn't a very good things, and not good things, and sorry, and stable, and so and FPS, and if you want a stable FPS, and you might need the GPU memory and the discrete, non-discrete, discrete. So
そのイン
non-discrete.
タラプト。多分スライドが1枚手前にいます。もう1枚先だと思います。
ごめん。ありがとう、小笠原さん。
OK です。
OK、すみません。ありがとうございます。Sorry for that. Thanks for the support. Thanks and assist and Naro-san, sorry. Okay, so rather CPUs are also good. Rather than faster CPU and internal CPU. And I mean, so that I have something benchmark comparing for the Radeon and all GPUs. And 10 CPUs are very much faster. And original Intel HD and or Intel Iris Pro. Intel Iris Plus is a good CPU for the playing of the game, but not so better than Radeon GPUs for the playing of the game. A couple of next slide, please. So still 30 bits and so wine. So on the some libraries are not still so 64-bit. That's why you don't have to care and play the games as the latest CPUs. And you might see so online viewers content. It says almost is a 64-bit, but inside all of the viewers using 32-bit libraries. So I checked in detail, look into the details on the Phoenix and the second life viewers. It says in 64-bit though, and they are using 32-bit libraries almost, because they official viewers still using 32-bit library and improving the system. So you don't have to care CPU speed. And personally, if offline games or something like this, in the playing the car games or something like GPU is more, and it's more the VR games and things, and you might need to more speed GPU and CPU for using that. So I checked the instruction and how to use the viewers and on the voice. So they recommend install Wine on it, the setting the Windows 10 and the Wine config and using a voice. So next slide, please. Load testing. So I try to my laptop I have and check so how to use that and so online game. So test environment is as follows, and VP Pocket 2, Intel, and nice and so Core something, and Meta and 8 memories, and SD cards, and so I'm using SD cards, so I'm using cache on the online and main memory, and unlock UEFI. GPU WinMax and fortunately, I have bought the ZPD and Intel V5 so the Tianjin CPUs and and 22004 LTS, 60 gigabyte memories, and 64 the SD cards. So I also using for the and online caches. And the ThinkPad, I know I'm using not using for the for talking this one, this, and the MD Radeon and the GPUs and the 64 gigabyte CentOS 822 and the second drive of the environment, and also the Princess and the Final Fantasy on it. And this is and the VPD Winmax, but need to rotate it in this case. Sorry, and so and I complain the ZPU. The ZPD is using and and tablet displays on it, and it needs on the rotate using on the Linux. So it's a painful thing for the recompile the kernel. And in this case, so my friend Shibata-san and the over Japanese and Japanese team and help me and review the kernel. So I checked and in detail on the Tengen CPUs and it works and properly in the displays, but sometimes doesn't work on it, and more and need to update on the kernel on the 5.7 to using on the Wi-Fi 6, and that works fine on it. So CPU speed is a result in case so the most games and the works and the average FPS in the 20 on the 30 and the FPS at the most. For Intel CPUs, I squares Radeon Vega is an Intel HD, and they are much more slow using on it. I have a great CPUs on the 33 on the 40 FPS at most, and though Intel HD and the 50 or to 20, but in other case, 8 FPS in the lowest. So I haven't tried the E49 and on IX and the 200 and the Wi-Fi, but because on the CentOS doesn't support the Wi-Fi 6, so I will try to reduce and frame and it's supported. So on the speed is almost same in the wired. So here I am the I would like to show you and so on the demos from my friend so then and I am wondering why she tried to understand and so test and on Linux and in the second drive in the viewers, and it is almost and the 20 for the 25 FPS, and even though complex and texture loading, and it is great, and using Tengen scores or the playing the game, so we can try and ordinary thin PC, and so LG Gram is very lightweight and PC, and but you can try and ordinary offline and online games like Second Life on the Final Fantasy on it. So conclusion is that sorry. 合ってるかな。カッパーさん、大丈夫ですか？すいません。大丈夫ですね。はい、すいません。conclusion. For the eSports hackable and memory and for the caches and the CPUs and the controllable. And on the other hand, it is a bit difficult for hack on the Linux, hack for the Windows, playing the online games and more offline games and using only. It is better to hack having fun in the current environment. And Redis and online game simply doesn't depend on the CPU and GPU speed. It it depends on the CPU, the GPU memories needs to play smoothly. And still using on the Windows Leaf on the 32D. And I had chance to talk to the Linder Lab Sky on the and high definitive and such as VR games and the company guy engineers and talking on the spec on the spec on the PC using up games and almost almost on the games and doesn't and need and highest spec because even though they ask the users and high spec and user will run out and from the games and the user getting displeased and so the games or they should consider and play their games on the low spec. So it is good it is good for the expanding the users. But it is okay for that and not okay. So I'm wondering why. So using all that. So sorry for and so network connection. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I much appreciate.
To Mr. Ohta, and now we are collecting questions from the field. And if you have any questions, please ask, and either in Chinese or English or Japanese. Thank you. Hi, 大田さん、もしもし。はい、聞こえますか？現場から一つ問題が来ています。そして、SteamOS というシステムはお使いことはありますか？
はいはい。Steam は使ってます。
SteamOS、そうですね。はい。その SteamOS でも、この Linux で Windows のゲームがうまく、走れるように作られたものですので、なんか、比べを、あるいは、ご意見をいただけたらと思います。
そうですね。日本語でいいです。英語でもいいですけど、日本語で一応話します。
私は通訳しますので、はい。日本語でお願いします。
SteamOS を確かに動かしたことあるんですけど、正直な話、SteamOS を動かすんだったら絶対 Windows の方がいいです。っていうのも、やっぱり安定しないんですよね、あれ。本当に。あまり。やってみて思ったのは、それだったら本当にSteamOS の中に入ってて、SteamOS の中で使った方がいいっていうのはあるんですよ。ゲームの中で。だけど、じゃあ安定してるかって全く安定してないので、それだったら
そうですね。だから、最も、重要な問題は不安定なところでしょうか。
そうですね。
そうですね。
なので、直接、動くものは直接動くもので使った方がいいっていうのが僕の考え方です。はい。
はい、わかりました。它也有所有状况是在进入的状态。这个我觉得就快不太行。我们自己游戏蛮多的。 はい、太田さん。
どうぞ。
はい、もう一つ問題来ています。そうですね、今が、やっていたことは、全部、主に、どんな、そうですね、何らかの方法で Windows のライブラリを Linux でシミュレーションすること、みたいですね。で、
そうです。
そうですね。では、
は
もし以降、何かネイティブな、Linux がサポートできるエコシステム、あるいは何かゲーム自体が、こう、シミュレーションを、通らずに、うまく、走っていける、システム、あるいは環境が、作れるのかという問題でした。
それは、ちょっとゆっくり話しますね。
はい
先ほど言った、セカンドライフで使われているフェニックスビューアーっていうののドキュメントに書いてあるんですが、
はい
通常のビューアーとして使う、要するにビューアーがローディングして、そのアバターをこう動かすとか、テキストチャットと呼ばれてチャットするのは問題ないんですね。ただ、ボイスを使うのにあたって Windows のライブラリーを使わなきゃいけないらしくて、ワインを経由して、
はい、
Windows のライブラリーを叩くという方法をやってるらしいんです。
そうですね。
これは
今、それしかないみたいですね。
それで、これについては、その通りで、今、Linux でできるように開発中であるというところで止まってます。はい。
あといいのですか？
はい。
も
もちろんそういう使い方はおかしいというのは書いてあります、その中に。はい。もともと。なぜかっていうと、なんでメインのアプリケーションは Windows で動いて、Linux で動いてるのに、一部の部分だけワインを使って、ライブラリーを叩かなきゃいけないのかおかしいって確かに書いてあります。はい。
そうですね。では、以降の発展では、ネイティブな、サポートができるのかという問題もあります。
そうですね。もうネイティブなサポートの方は議論はもちろんされてます。なので、
もしサポートできれば、もっと幸いな話なんですけど。
そうですね。もともと、これ比較して面白かったのは、やはり Windows よりもLinux の方がメモリ食わないんですよね。
そうですね。
それとやっぱりスピードも正直言って遜色ないスピードどころか、ある程度スピード若干ですが速くなるので、はい。
そうですね。わかりました。
具体的に言うと、GPD ポケット2で動かしたときに、8ギガと Windows ってほとんどもう食ってるんですよ。大体 70% ぐらい。
そうですね。
で、ところが、Linux にすると3ギガしか食ってないんですよ。
そうですか。
はい。この差大きいんですよ、やっぱり。使ってるうちに。
まだ超えない壁が、またあるという感じですね。
そうです。だからゲームを作る際に結構 Linux で動かすにあたってワインを使う、すべてワインでやってしまうという方法も確かにあるんですけど、やはりその Linux のネイティブで動くものは Linux のネイティブで動いた方が幸せだなと僕は思います。はい、
そうですか。わかりました。では、交代しました。他说就是特别想调，但是现在就是没有办法，因为就是现在那个客户就是在一些时辰就算是可以在那个条件下做客户，那因为他们主要是用 CPU 跟 CPU 的连续去模拟它来考虑。那如果今天是透过 Y 来模拟 Windows 那个 library 来跑游戏的话，可以支援。那效能大概有本来就在 Windows 上跑的大概有5到10%，但是如果是直接拿去练跑剩3年。所以在玩游戏上面这样的就是不能接受，就是太苛求了，对，然后所以现在基本上没办法，只能用这种很奇怪的方式，还是透过外界的。但是希望如果有更好的方法，或者是更他说可能以后现在慢慢的有这个平台之后，可能大家其实是 目前的状况，目前考人做大众的加强，甚至现在就有这么绝望性的。所以他现在可以跟人。但是他们想。
伊尾先生、すいません。ちょっともしかしたら長引いたらごめんなさいね。
今、問題確かめていたので、はい、申し訳ありません。そうですね、あちらの問題では、もし、例えば、フォールカントという API は聞いたことはありませんか？そうです。あれはどれと X と同じ目的で、何かゲームの処理をしたいと思いましたので、こういうパッケージでした。で、こういうワール券を使ってネイティブなサポーターがよりよくサポートできると思います。
そうですね。今、ゲーム、ちょっとすみません、日本語でごめんなさい。ゲームの市場で話題になっているのが、先ほど言ったバルカンのサポートが、今後増えていくという形になってきてるんですね。理由はWindows だけでゲームするわけじゃないんだぞっていうのがやっぱりこう認識されてきたなっていうのがあって、どうしても Windows だけだと OpenGL しか考えなくてよかったんですけど、Mac とか、その他のOS とかタブレットとかいろいろやろうとすると、やっぱりもう Windows じゃ、OpenGL と Windows だけで考えたらダメだってことが分かってきて、コモンプラットフォームみたいな形になっていくのかなと今思ってます。はい。なので、そういう意味で Linux の一つの選択肢として、プラットフォームを気にしない形で使えるようになってくれたらなというふうに思ってます。こんな感じでいいですか？
はい。そうです。わかりました。
やばい。ゲームの話をすると実は盛り上がるんだな、これ。カッパーさんごめんな。ゲームの話をすると実は盛り上がるのだよ。
はい、もしもし、太田さん。はい、問題と多くてすみません。他の問題が来ています。そうですね。Windows と Linux、を向けたビルドが存在しても、この2つのプラットフォームでビルドされた、ものについては、パフォーマンスとそれ以外に何か差はあると。
パフォーマンスとライトウェイトと問題が起きたときに、Linux だといわゆる実を言うと面白いことにこの手のゲームのライブラリーって実はバイナリじゃないんですよね。
そうですね。
Linux だと。よく見るとゲームの本体をダウンロードしてくると、Linux だとスクリプトで書いてあるだけなんです。ところが Windows はバイナリなので、何が起きるかというと、調査ができないんです。問題が起きると。自分で調査できないのは結構大きいですね。 何か問題が来たときに、ああ、これだったら多分ここら辺がおかしいだろうということで、ちょっとソースコード調べてみると実は分かったりする。
つまり、何か差別があると感じて調査したくても、この俺はバナリーだじゃないので、もうそもそも調査できないということでしょうか。
バイナリーなので調査できないところです、Windows だと。例えば何か問題が起きると、この手のものは俗に言うレジスターエディット、レグエディットをいじってくれというのがよく出てきます。で、Linux だと何がかっていうと、ここのライブラリーがおかしいから、そこをこう
変えればいいという
手で直してくれと。はい。
わかりました。
就是说他们有时候すげえ盛り上がってる。那链子的话，搞不好它可以查出哪个那个快的，它就是手动把那个就好。所以有办法比较，但是很有办法。やばい、あと6分しかない。
はいはい、今のところ問題はないみたいですね。
わかりました。
では、このセッションを終わりようと思います。はい、
すいません。
太田さん、ありがとうございました。
トラブルありまして、すいません、ありがとうございます。では、失礼します。
では、次のセッションは2時から始まりますので、ゆっくり、準備して、2時になってからお願いしたいと思います。